Well, here goes. Gate should have light turboprop aircraft. Okay? Cool. I've said it. We can end the video right here, right? No? I hear you've got questions, so let's get more into detail, shall we? But before we begin, we have to ask ourselves the all-important questions. What is Gate? Why is Gate? Who is Gate? And why is it so degenerate? Well, Gate, thus the JSDF fought there, or Gate, Jietai Kanochi Nite, I probably just butchered that name, a direct translation being Gate, the self-defense forces fight like this in that place, is a Japanese fantasy novel series written by Takumi Yanai from 2006, and later published by Alphapolis. A manga adaptation illustrated by Satori Sao began in 2011, and 3 spin-off manga series began in 2015. An anime television series began airing from July 3rd, 2015, and has since been licensed by Sentai Filmworks in North America. The anime series spanned 2 seasons, with a 3rd season just recently being announced. And the plot of Gate goes something like this. In August of 20-something, a portal to a parallel world known as the Gate suddenly appeared in Ginza, Tokyo, where monsters and human warriors wearing ancient armor poured out of the portal, killing everyone in their way and trying to claim the entire area as their own. This would later become known as, quote, the Ginza Incident, unquote. Immediately after the attack, the Japanese ground self-defense forces launch a counterattack, repelling and pushing the invaders back to the gate and reclaiming Ginza. Hoping to establish a diplomatic relationship with the people beyond the gate and capture the ones responsible for the massacre at Ginza, the JSDF, under orders by the Prime Minister, takes over and enters the gate, where they dispatch the 3rd Reconnaissance Team to scout the special region, led by our titular protagonist, 33-year-old First Lieutenant Yoji Itami. Itami was there when the Ginza incident happened, and luckily for him, exploring the special region is a dream come true, since the lieutenant is he's a bit of an otaku. While the 3rd Recon Team explores the region, back on Earth, the major powers take a special interest in the gate. Basically, the summary and this little promo at the beginning is a very long way of saying that Gate is, simply put, a modern army kicks the crap out of a medieval army, and proves the famous quote of the TF2 Heavy: "I've yet to meet anyone that can outsmart a bullet." This anime also has a very large reference on both ground forces and air forces, with a lot of tanks, IFVs, and APCs being used throughout. We have a helicopter attack by AH-1 gunships, as well as UH-1 Hueys. We have JSDF F-4s showing up, as well as Type 74 main battle tanks. So honestly, if you are a military enjoyer and just want to watch stuff being blown up, Gate is a pretty good anime for you to watch. However, do approach it with some level of caution, as the main creator, Takumi Yanai, has been proven to be a little bit of a Japanese ultranationalist and borderline isolationist, so do take what Gate says with a pinch of salt. In the 2nd season, there are also extremely problematic elements surrounding the topic of... YouTube won't allow me to say this word, so I'll just put it up on screen right here. Trying to push a relationship between I believe is a 12-year-old and a 30-something-year-old. However, if you set these issues to one side, turn your brain off, and simply enjoy Gate as a military power fantasy, I guarantee you that you will enjoy it. Anyways, let's move on to the meat and potatoes of what this video is about. So, how does this anime have anything to do with my channel and what I create here? Well, I'm glad you asked, because military, aircraft, tanks, and anything to do with anything that blows something up is the core concept of my channel. But before I specifically get to aircraft like the Super Tucano and the Wolverine, I need to explain a few things about CAS, or Close Air Support. Close Air Support involves providing precise, timely air-to-ground firepower to assist friendly ground forces that are under fire. It typically occurs in proximity to friendly troops, requiring tight coordination to avoid collateral damage or friendly fire. Someone should tell this to the A-10 and British forces. CAS can include direct strikes, interdiction of enemy movements, and control of the airspace near frontline units, but that is more Forward Air Control or FAC-A. Coin is a little different. Coin means counterinsurgency, which means that you are not necessarily fighting against a peer or near-peer threat. Think the Taliban, or Al-Qaeda, or any less-known terrorist organization. Not something that you would have, I suppose, main battle tanks against. Coin operations support irregular warfare and asymmetric conflicts, and usually are more comparatively low intensity. Key roles include logistics and case evac, transporting supplies, reinforcements, or evacuating casualties from remote areas, ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, light attack, FAC, and CAS, often using small, repeatable strikes to suppress insurgent targets without excessive expenditure or collateral damage. Coin and CAS do differ slightly, however, with CAS having a heavier implication of a near-peer or peer-level threat, and Coin having a greater emphasis on countering terrorist groups or smaller rogue factions, a counterinsurgency if you will, as is in the name. Close air support requires robust, precise, and often faster aircraft capable of delivering heavy firepower close to friendly troops, often in high-threat environments. Coin missions prioritize endurance, affordability, flexibility, and usually multi-role capability to address insurgencies through a mix of logistics, ISR, or measured attacks. Design priorities also differ, somewhat at least. CAS favors armor and firepower, Coin emphasizes modularity, a longer loiter time, a simplicity, and a comparative ease of sustainment. Okay, here now I finally get to talk about a specific aircraft, and I'm wading into a deep internet debate over here. The relevance of the A-10. This is a debate that unfortunately reveals the deepest basement dwellers, armchair pylons, Cheeto dust neckbeards, and the fanatics of the aviation community. So quickly, in broad strokes, I will say this is my personal opinion. The A-10, while extremely effective, has spent most of its service life, post-Desert Storm at least, fighting enemies with which it was never really designed to be in combat against. It's been mostly fighting terrorist forces in the form of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, not the columns and columns of Soviet armor that it was once theorized it would be destroying. Essentially what I'm saying is the A-10 in today's world of asymmetrical warfare is more than a little bit overkill and is kind of a product of a bygone era. We don't need a massive burting machine, as much of a good propaganda tool that it is. Okay, it's been halfway into my entire video, and I finally get to talk about the plane that I wanted to talk about in the first place, about the little turboprop that could. Anyways, I do what I want. So, let's talk about the little turboprop, this profoundly subsonic, humble Embraer Super Tucano. Don't be fooled, however, this little turboprop is actually kind of a fucking psychotic menace. The Embraer EMB-314 Super Tucano, also known as the A-29, is a turboprop light attack aircraft, armed reconnaissance platform, and advanced trainer, purpose-built for modern Coin, counterinsurgency, close air support, ISR, border patrol, and training missions. The Super Tucano is operational with roughly 16 air forces globally, with over 260 units ordered and more than 500,000 total flight hours. 60,000 of those being combat flight hours. The aircraft enjoys low acquisition and operating costs, roughly $10 million each per unit, and only $1,500 per flight hour in USD, far below that of modern jet fighters. That isn't all, however. The main reason why the Super Tucano is so scary is the amount of ordnance and technology that this little turboprop carries. For internal armament, we have 2 Browning 50 cals in the wings with 200 rounds each, because when John Moses Browning gets it perfect on the first try, you never need to change anything. For external stores, you have up to 5 hardpoints, carrying around 1,550 kilograms of ordnance. Options include 20mm gun pods, unguided rockets, dumb bombs like the Mark 81-82 cluster munition and dumb bomb, as well as laser-guided bombs and precision weapons like the GBU series of paveway bombs. You can also mount air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles like the AIM-9 Sidewinder, MA-1 Piranha, AGM-65, etc., etc. I believe the Tucano also retained the ability to carry Hellfire. No. In terms of avionics and protection, you have obviously the glass bubble canopy. You also have HUD and HOTAS, NVG compatibility, EO and IR sensors, forward-looking IR also known as FLIR, laser designator and rangefinder, encrypted data link, and chaff and flare systems. The avionics also includes mission planning, video recording, radar warning, and 0-0 ejection seats. This humble little turboprop has been exported to 16 other countries, including countries in South America, Africa, Asia, and previously Afghanistan, used by the Afghan Air Force before the Taliban takeover. Recent deals include 6 A-29s were sold to Paraguay, 12 A-29s NATO configured to Portugal, 4 aircraft ordered by an undisclosed African customer. The United States Air Force operates 3 of these, the only foreign-designed aircraft ever to serve within the United States Air Force, and up to 6, I believe, went to Uruguay. The Super Tucano excels in its versatility. The platform excels at light attack, armed reconnaissance, close air support, border patrol, advanced training, forward air control, and special operations. It's built for austere operating conditions like unpaved runways and remote bases, because Embraer specifically designed it to be operated from the Amazon rainforest. Its low visibility, visual, infrared, acoustic, and radar maneuverability, and self-protection systems provides improved survivability in both COIN and ISR environments. In fact, the Super Tucano would cut its teeth in both Brazil and Colombia. In fact, if your local dealer has been charging you more for cocaine, you can thank the Super Tucano, because it has really been putting in overtime helping stop drug cartels and illegal flights across the border. So why does the Super Tucano stand out so? It's cost-effective, it's affordable to buy and operate to compare to jet fighters, ideal for nations with budget constraints. It's combat-proven, high durability and versatility backed by real-world performance. You can see Colombia, Philippines, Brazil especially, all 3 of these countries have cut their teeth using the Super Tucano and has been used very well. It's multi-role by design, a rare 3-in-1 platform with light attack, ISR, and training capabilities into one cohesive airframe. I also want to mention another aircraft here, the AT-6, the Wolverine, basically a modified T-6 Texan II. I've actually got one of these sitting back here on my shelf. The AT-6 operates off on the same principle of the Super Tucano, though it is slightly less capable, being a converted trainer aircraft with weapons strapped to it, rather than being a completely bespoke attack aircraft design. There is also unfortunately less information about the AT-6 Wolverine available, but it appears to rival many of the same capabilities that the Super Tucano possesses, though I will say it appears to be somewhat inferior in the weapons aspect. Alright, so why do these little attack turboprops work in Gate? Well, here's the thing. The vast majority of enemies that were found beyond the Gate only have medieval weapons, and basic trebuchets, amongst other siege weapons. They don't even have small arms. There are, of course, also wyverns and dragons, but those are really no issue when you have 20mm gun pods and IR missiles available. For the vast majority of ground targets, the Super Tucano, and to a lesser extent the Wolverine, can also deal with these targets via unguided rockets and bombs. The attack on the Capitol Senate in Season 2 could also have been done with Super Tucanos, since they carry guided munitions. The air support that would have been provided would also have been instrumental for moments like the defense of Italica in the first season of Gate, and the combined attack on the Capitol in Gate's second season finale, with Super Tucanos would be instrumental for providing air support and having long loiter times, ensuring the ground troops constantly have protection from the air. Super Tucanos are also cheaper to operate than the vast majority of helicopter gunships, and are faster and more maneuverable while carrying much of the same munitions. They also would have provided invaluable support during Itami's first exploration with the 3rd Recon Team, thanks to, as said before, their long loiter times. Super Tucanos can loiter up to 7 hours, and even longer with external stores. So, essentially, what I'm saying is turboprop attack aircraft like the Super Tucano, and the lesser extent the Wolverine, would have been extremely successful in Gate, and would have offered valuable air support to any of the ground forces that would have been stationed there. Also, more people should recognize the Super Tucano for the brilliant little turboprop that it in fact is. And if you own a private military corporation, you should give the Super Tucano a look the next time you want a close air support aircraft. Anyways, with that, I thank you all for watching, and I thank you for waiting on the breaks between videos, and I will see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning.